think first and foremost, thank you for being here. We see that we have our boss here with us as well. So maybe we can grab another chair and then have his fireside joining us. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for being here today. We want to talk a little bit more about Energy Asia. So we're very excited. So Energy Asia by PETRONAS and our knowledge partner CERAWeek by S&P Global is set to be in Kuala Lumpur 16 to 18 of June this year. It's a strategic dialogue, an energy conference and exchange where policymakers, industry captains, and energy professionals foster robust conversations and get into actionable solutions to tackle emissions while pursuing economic growth and social progress towards a just and equitable energy transformation. To deliberate this further, we have with us two Energy Asia torchbearers. We have Marina Taib, Senior Vice President of Corporate Strategy of PETRONAS, and Atul Arya, doesn't need much introduction, Senior Vice President and Chief Strategist of S&P Global. Please join me in welcoming Marina and Atul to today's fireside. So maybe if I could start the first question with Marina. Why is Energy Asia important for the region and the global energy transformation?
Thank you everyone for coming to our reception. I think this question is very pertinent. And yesterday I was in a panel with Atul and I was talking about how the world energy demand is growing. And actually Asia forms half of that global energy demand. So I think it's very important to understand the transition in Asia, and because actually it's a multi-speed transition in different parts of Asia, and different countries and different parts of Asia have different challenges and different trade-offs. But actually at the end of the day, it's around energy security, managing economic development, and also economic growth and also population growth. So while that's happening, that's the context. Why Energy Asia is important also is because the transition needs the voice of Asia. So I think in the past, we've trying to bring the voice of Asia to a bigger stage, and this one is having this voice of Asia concentrated in Malaysia when we have Energy Asia. So it's also to understand the priorities of Asia. I also wanted to say that this is also where we talk about progress that's been made for some of the pledges. So I think this has been a lot of collaborative efforts. So how do we see more progress in terms of what pledges have been made to real collaborations and partnerships? And also what we mentioned yesterday, that you can't do it by ourselves. So it's not just a private initiative, it has to be done private and public partnerships, and hopefully with the involvement of governments and also action groups, this is where we can make more transition happen.
Whilst you're still holding on to the mic, before I get to you, Atul, second question to you. So whilst we're here at CERAWeek, Marina, how does Energy Asia complement CERAWeek in shaping the energy conversation? We've had many conversations in the last 2 days, some of the leadership dialogues, Secretary Wright and all that. So how do you see Energy Asia complementing CERAWeek?
Okay, thanks. I think CERAWeek has always been traditionally giving us a global perspective, right? And I think within the global perspective, Atul, you also have region-specific or country-specific. I think how Energy Asia complements is to give an Asia perspective, right? So we try to talk about Asia here at CERAWeek, but I think it's going to be a more concentrated effort at Energy Asia. Also, I think it's a more deep dive. So we're doing a bit more country-specific deep dives this year at Energy Asia. So that should be interesting to talk about the different progress and transformation challenges of each country. And I think it's a two-way conversation. It's not just what we learn from CERAWeek, but what others can learn from what's happening in Asia.
Yeah. Thank you, Marina. So to you, Atul, we are thrilled to partner S&P Global in the second edition of Energy Asia. If I may ask, what role does S&P Global play as a knowledge partner to Energy Asia?
So first of all, I should say, Arni, to you and Marina and to everybody, we are really honored as S&P Global to be part of Energy Asia and to support PETRONAS in Energy Asia 2025. I want to just ask the audience here, how many people here were in Energy Asia 2023? Can you raise your hand?
Right. Including the PETRONAS people.
Yeah. So here is the thing. everybody who was not there in 2023, you better be there in 2025. Otherwise, you're going to miss a great opportunity for multiple reasons. But just to go back to your question, I think we are partnering. We are going to help. We are helping, and we are kind of in a real action mode right now to help with the speakers, with the design of the program, and also the themes of the event. So all of that, working very collaboratively with you, and very much looking forward to all the different dimensions. We'll come back to that in a minute of Energy Asia and 2025. And I should say, it's really growing. It's mushrooming, which is good, but also a bit daunting, I will say.
I think Atul has been playing a pivotal role as we continue to develop the programs across the executive conference and the energy park. So thank you, Atul, for that dedication. My next question, I think earlier this morning, Tan Sri mentioned in his panel that there are multiple decarbonization pathways in Asia, all with the same goal of achieving a net zero. And in your interview just now, you also mentioned about, more than 70% of the countries actually went into election. So you've got new governments in place, obviously tech and innovation, advancements, AI. And these were conversations that we didn't have at 2023 Energy Asia. So in your view, Atul, what are some of the key challenges and opportunities that you think Asia faces in achieving its own energy transformation?
Yeah, so let me start with the opportunities, because there is no shortage of opportunities. You already touched on a couple. One is technology, because in my view as an engineer, I would say technology is the great equalizer, right? Because it doesn't have any boundaries. It's international. So, and particularly when we are here at CERAWeek, we're learning so much. I think that many of those will flow into Energy Asia and beyond, not just in June, but much longer than that. I would also say that for if I'm here outside of Asia as a company, I really have to think hard. So where is the growth going to come from, and particularly in the growth in energy demand? And I need to be going to go east, as they say. And this is going to be a part of our focus, is to have more energy for more people, bringing people out of poverty. We heard that here yesterday from the U.S. Secretary of Energy. So I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities. I won't say a challenge, but one thing we need to work on is financing. I think that, to me, is a big issue. And Marina and I had this wonderful dinner last night where we talked about financing across all of the developing world, including in Asia. And I'm looking forward to that. We have some great speakers coming in, both companies and then financial institutions and also governments. So we need to bring them together to talk about financing.
Thank you. So maybe just towards wrapping up our fireside chat. So what can we expect at Energy Asia in terms of discussions, topics, and depth of the conversation? Marina, you want to take this first?
Yeah, I think what we aspire is for Energy Asia to be this platform for us to discuss real solutions to manage the transition for Asia. So we need to bring together innovators, thought leaders, and world-class speakers for us to have these discussions to get to solutions. I echo what Atul said about one of the things that we have to discuss is financing to enable more transition investments and also in just energy investment. Actually, besides transition finance, some of the other topics that we're talking about is decarbonization at scale, also upskilling for just transition. I think we talk a lot about shortage of manpower and labor and skills. So I think that's something that we'll be talking about. And also energy security in a volatile world. But maybe I can also say we have new things this year. So we're having an Energy Asia Global Leadership Executive Forum, which is, sorry, it's a bit long. So what we'll have is like a small group of about 40 CEOs to bring together thought leadership and also how to make more pragmatic solutions come to bear. We're also having more, I mentioned just now about country focus. So we're having country spotlights in terms of the executive conference. We'll also have an energy park that's also going to be focused on country pavilions. And this is the second time we're having the Energy Asia Award, which incidentally the closing date is not yet, right? I mean,
so we do welcome submissions for the Energy Asia Award.
Yeah.
Atul, you want to add on?
I would just briefly say one thing. I think the one way to think about Energy Asia 2025 is that it's going to be an outcome-oriented event. Every time we all go to conferences, And I get this from my wife every time I go to a conference. She said, "Oh, you went to CERAWeek. So what happened? Are you going to make any difference?" And I am sometimes struggling to answer her. But I've told her that, and I have to get permission to get to KL. So I told her in KL it will be an outcome-oriented conference, and I think that's all our joint responsibility for PETRONAS and for S&P Global to make sure that we have action. And we've been talking about EAGLE, the executive forum, that we want to get people to soft pledge, as we call it, make some commitments. It just should not be a great conversation and everybody goes back to their phones, right? It needs to be action oriented. That's what we want.
You have to bring your wife.
No, no.
So just
No, I didn't mean.
At least you get the
Come on. I didn't mean in that sense. I have to tell you guys, if you meet her, she's very conscious of her carbon footprint, and she doesn't want to increase her carbon footprint. So, that's the honest answer. Okay.
So final thoughts about as we look ahead to Energy Asia 2025, which is just less than 100 days to go. What is one key outcome? I think maybe Marina has answered this as well. What is one key outcome you hope the conference will achieve in driving Asia's energy transformation? And what are you looking forward to in addition to the excellent food that you mentioned earlier, Atul?
I think, look, we discussed this in 2023. I think regional cooperation is really important, right? We kind of scratched the surface on it. I think we need to, I'll just give two examples, right? We talked about the regional policy harmonization. I think it'll be really great for the ministers coming and to say, look, here is our commitment, whether it is on CCS or creating a regional grid. I think that would be such a great thing, because one of the things we need to think about is how does Asia and ASEAN, Southeast Asia, Malaysia, have the control of their own destiny. And I think that should be part of one of the big things we should focus on.
I think so, because this is also the year that Malaysia chairs ASEAN.
Oh,
So I
right.
think even more so that we need to push for this regional collaboration. Actually, I echo what Atul said, which is not just discussions and insightful panelists and discussion, but it must come away with some more pragmatic solutions.
Right.
I agree with you. Sometimes, what was the outcome?
Yeah.
What's the takeaway, and what's the action for us? So I believe we need to come up with more pragmatic to do things from the conference.
It sounds daunting and it sounds scary, but
The
we will,
best.
we will start with the eagle, with the soft pledges, hopefully, and then we get into actionable solutions. Yeah. Thank
Everybody
you.
wants to have the food.
Yeah.
See you all at Energy
Thank
Asia.
you, Atul and Marina. And then for those of you who are looking forward to sign up to attend for Energy Asia, our colleagues here are all eagerly waiting. So thank you for listening in, and enjoy the rest of the evening. Thank you.
Thank you.
See you in Kuala Lumpur.